for the American worker, what we just did.
We'll explain why the president is changing our trade policy with both sides of the debate.
We want to start making our products again.
We'll also look at what's next for the Women's March and how fact checkers are hammering Trump for rolling out alternative facts.
Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts.
Plus, it's trivia night with former Tampa Bay Bucks and a new round of political squares. This is Money, Power, and Politics.
So as usual, Marissa, we have a lot of ground to cover, but we're going to start with some context because a lot of people have asked, have we ever seen anything like President Trump before?
Well, the answer is yeah, we have, with one of our most famous presidents.
Yeah, Andrew Jackson, who also kind of got off to a bumpy start.
If you think we've never had a president like Donald Trump, think again. In many ways, he's a reboot of our seventh president, Andrew Jackson. Both built a fortune in real estate. Both became national celebrities known for telling it like it is.
I don't frankly have time for total political correctness.
Then both rode their fame into politics while the political establishment dismissed them as fools.
Folks, Donald Trump is not a serious person. This is a carnival act.
Yeah, compare the story of Old Hickory to what's playing out today. The political establishment resisted Andrew Jackson, even said he should not be running.
He should not be a candidate for president of the United States. He is not fit to lead.
And Jackson's rivals made fun of his grammar and spelling, just like Trump.
The problem is he is a chalker. Next tweet, leet weight chalker Marco Rubio looks like a little boy on stage, not presidential material. He meant to say lightweight, but he spelled it Leight, so he got that wrong.
And Jackson crushed the political elite by inspiring the common man to join the fight, just like Trump.
You had to come represent. You're lying. Once again, lying Ted!
Both energized ordinary people who had never voted before. Their critics claimed their speeches were too simple and that they made promises that they could not deliver. But both struck a chord with people by running against politics and business as usual.
It's a rigged, disgusting, dirty system.
And when their rivals openly conspired against them, it triggered backlash and ultimately made both of them stronger.
It's called collusion, folks.
And check out Trump's strength of support in those dark tones of red. He's strongest in the Appalachian states, again, just like Jackson. And of course, their rivals claim they both were hotheads.
Grrr, just angry all the time.
Both were known to use colorful, if not vulgar, language that rattled the elite.
It's political bull. She said he's a.
They're ripping the out of the sea.
We can't get a school built in Brooklyn.
You're not going to raise that price, you understand? I'm going to bomb the out of them.
And again, both reveled in beating the intellectual elite with support from ordinary people who don't have fancy degrees.
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
And Trump, like Jackson, also relies on instinct over process. And he's been consistently inconsistent, which drives his critics crazy, but also defines a strategist. So, like Jackson, Trump's critics can underestimate him at their own peril.
This president is going to work hard. I mean, I've never seen anyone work harder and have more energy than this president.
Trump also beat Hillary Clinton, and to that end has something in common with Jackson's opponent, John Quincy Adams. Both of their opponents were U.S. senators turned secretaries of state whose families had been in the White House once before. And both Trump and Jackson beat them by starting a movement with fiercely loyal followers who are not going away. Remember, Jackson literally shot down his rivals, and his supporters still loved him. And once more, like Jackson, Trump jokingly said he could do the same.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
Yeah, but now that Trump's in the White House, his words carry a great deal more weight.
And Trump got hammered by the fact checkers this weekend for rolling out what his senior advisor calls alternative facts.
These side-by-side photos were partly to blame for this weekend's he said, she said between the new administration and the media.
Photographs of the inaugural proceedings were intentionally framed in a way, in one particular tweet, to minimize the enormous support that had gathered on the National Mall.
The undoctored photos tell you the story. On the left is President Obama's inauguration in 2009. On the right, President Trump's inauguration on Friday. Both were taken 45 minutes before Obama and Trump took the oath of office. The photos speak for themselves. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer took it further Saturday when he said that floor coverings were used for the first time to protect the grass on the National Mall.
That had the effect of highlighting any areas where people were not standing, while in years past, the grass eliminated this visual.
But coverings were used in 2013 during President Obama's second inauguration. Then on Sunday, President Trump's advisor, Kellyanne Conway, backed up Spicer.
Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts.
The truth of the matter is, there is no alternative to reality. Trump's team wasn't the only one engaged in these so-called alternative facts. While speaking in front of the Central Intelligence Agency's memorial wall, President Trump spoke of his relationship with the intelligence community.
As you know, I have a running war with the media. They are among the most dishonest human beings on earth. Right? And they sort of made it sound like I had a feud with the intelligence community.
But remember this? Less than 2 weeks ago, Mr. Trump blamed the intel community for releasing a dossier containing unsubstantiated claims about him. On Twitter, Trump wrote, "Intelligence agencies should have never allowed this fake news to leak into the public. One last shot at me. Are we living in Nazi Germany?"
So this is something Spicer had to address today. As spokesman Sean Spicer said that they got ridership numbers in D.C. from an outside group that did not line up with the government stats. He said it was the most watched inauguration in person over the weekend, but today he focused on the global reach, saying it was the most watched around the world because of the way people can now stream over the internet.
I believe that we have to be honest with the American people. I think sometimes we can disagree with the facts. There are certain things that we may not fully understand when we come out, but our intention is never to lie to you.
Meanwhile, this weekend, Trump's senior advisor Kellyanne Conway said Trump will not release his tax returns even after an audit. Then today she shifted by tweeting Trump is under audit and will not release his tax returns until that audit is completed. Marissa?
And Trump signed 3 executive orders today. He ordered an immediate hiring freeze in federal government, and he banned federal funding for international programs that provide or promote abortion.
And of course, he also signed an order to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So that is going to be over. And he's planning to change or withdraw from the North American Free Trade Agreement.
Would you even know the truth if you saw it?
Trump is channeling Ross Perot on the issue of trade. Both tapped into voters' frustrations about our dealings with Mexico and concerns about jobs heading out of the country.
There will be a giant sucking sound going south.
Notice how Perot's campaign played on the same theme of carnage as Trump's inaugural address.
The casualties of this war are counted in lost jobs and lost dreams.
So Trump is now going after the same North American trade deal that Ross Perot tried to take down in 1992, just as he promised in the campaign.
NAFTA is the worst trade deal maybe ever signed anywhere, but certainly ever signed in this country.
President George H.W. Bush started the NAFTA talks.
We must say to Mexico that we want you as equal trading partners, and that's good for both of us.
And President Clinton signed NAFTA into law. It phased out tariffs or taxes we pay on products from Mexico and Canada to produce cheaper goods and lower our grocery bills.
We are on the verge of a global economic expansion that is sparked by the fact that the United States at this critical moment decided that we would compete, not retreat.
Since trade has tripled since NAFTA kicked in, supporters say it has fed jobs in this country. Republican leaders have generally supported NAFTA, while liberals like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have railed against it. But now the new Republican president is against it on grounds that allowed companies to ship manufacturing jobs to Mexico.
We want to start making our products again. We don't want to bring them in, we want to make them here.
Again, supporters of NAFTA say it brings down prices for a lot of the things that we buy and make in this country, and that U.S. factories import a lot of parts or components for their products from Mexico. So tariffs would drive up their costs, which could cost more jobs. But President Trump wants to create jobs by compelling U.S. companies to move their jobs back to America and tax them if they don't. And to do that, he has to make some big changes to NAFTA, as he explained on 60 Minutes.
Let's say Ford moves to Mexico. If they want to sell that car in the United States, they pay a tax. Here's what's going to happen. They're not going to build their plant there. They're going to build it in the United States.
But there is a North American free trade agreement.
And there shouldn't be. It's a disaster.
But it is there.
Yes,
if you're president, you're going to have to live with it.
We will either renegotiate it or we will break it.
Okay, coming up, we're going to look into Trump's pick for Secretary of State and Marco Rubio's decision to support Rex Tillerson.
Plus, in our political trivia segment, we have a brand new round of political squares after the break. For weeks, Senator Marco Rubio says he was undecided on Rex Tillerson, and he grilled the Secretary of State nominee in his confirmation hearing.
Yeah, Rubio listed some war crimes he said were committed by Russia, but Tillerson would not describe Vladimir Putin as a war criminal. In the end, Rubio decided to support Tillerson, clearing the path to confirmation as Secretary of State. Foreign Relations Committee just cleared it by a vote of 11-10. Rubio was the swing vote.
Yeah, and Rubio said earlier today, I have no doubts about Mr. Tillerson's qualifications and patriotism. He has an impressive record of leadership and the proven ability to manage a large and complex organization. What I focused on from the beginning is whether, as Secretary of State, he will make the defense of liberty, democracy, and human rights a priority.
Okay, shifting gears now. It's been a while, but tonight we bring you a brand new round of Political Squares. It's our trivia, our play off the old Hollywood Squares game show.
It's the Battle of the Bucks, round number 5, featuring former players Chidi Ahanotu and Brad Culpepper.
One of these stars is sitting in the secret square, and the contestant who picks it could win a special prize. Which star is it? John Wilson, Jen Epstein, Vanessa Rufus, Chris Cato, Russell Rhodes, Mark Wilson, Matt Towery, Marissa Lynn, or Charlie Belcher. All on the Political Squares. And here's the master of Political Squares, Craig Patrick.
And here we are. This is Buck versus Buck. Glory Days Bucks. Brad Culpepper with us once again.
It's a rubber match right here.
Chidi Ahanotu with us once again.
Ready.
All right, we're tied up. 2 games each. Squares, you ready?
Craig, you ask us that every week. Of course, we're ready.
We're all ready, for crying out loud.
Chidi, I'll let you lead off. Who do you like?
I think I'm going to go with Charlie.
Gonna go with Charlie Belcher right there in the middle. Charlie, you ready?
And I like Chidi Ahanotu.
How many U.S. presidents were once professional athletes?
You know what? If professional bowler counts, George H.W. Bush. Yeah, spent a short time with the Pro Bowling Association. Yeah.
Agree or disagree? Professional bowler. Was he a professional bowler?
Because maybe there wasn't maybe he wasn't a bowler, but there could have been another one that was something else.
That's right.
And that therefore it would be.
He's got you. The answer's still one. Ugh.
I'm disagreeing that there were any presidents that were professional athletes.
You got it right.
Good. Do not listen to me, Chidi. Good job.
And before we go any further, I want to show you some evidence that maybe George H.W. Bush could not have been a professional bowler. He couldn't be a professional bowler. All right. Hey, Brad, who do you like?
I like Mark.
You like Mark
Mark.
Wilson. Everybody likes Mark. Okay, Mark, you ready?
Here we go.
The term bully pulpit. You've heard that used before. Use your bully pulpit as president. What does that mean, and who started that?
I remember this 8th grade history class. Teddy Roosevelt, for one, and he thought that literally by being president, he could essentially use his words, use his command to bully people into listening to what he was saying and falling in line, so to speak, with his policies.
That is absolutely true. I agree.
And that is absolutely not true. Disagree. It was Teddy Roosevelt, but that's not what he meant. But it's not what he meant by bully. By bully, he meant bully was wonderful. Bully is great. It's the
I know
wonderful
that. Well,
pulpit.
I didn't. That's a trick question.
That's a trick question?
Wait a minute.
Okay, Brad, I got this. It's a 2-part question. Yes, it was Teddy Roosevelt, but no, he didn't mean bully like we mean bully today. So, X gets the square.
Daggummit. All right, Chidi. Are you going to win this thing? Who are you going to pick?
I got to go Vanessa. That's the win.
All right, let's do it.
All right, Vanessa, here we go. Straw poll. We have straw polls in politics, right? Where do we get the term straw poll? Where does that come from?
I'm going to guess it comes from drinking straws. I believe back in the day, folks used to come in with their drinking straws and they would put them in one of 2 cups, and whoever had the most straws in their cup at the end of it was the winner.
I don't believe it was drinking straws. I believe it was like, hay, straw. So I have to disagree with Vanessa.
And he's absolutely right. He is absolutely right. And with that, look at that, a quick game here.
They didn't even know what drinking straws were back 100 years ago.
They threw hay up in the air to see which way the wind blows.
I understand that.
That's it. Here we go.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Hey, since this was such a short game, you want to come back for one bonus round next week?
Yeah. Sure.
One more week. Why not? All right. We're going to have it. It's all going to come down to next week. We'll see you then.
Coming up, we'll examine the Women's March, who started it, and where it goes from here after the break. Well, some 20,000 women rallied this weekend in St. Petersburg as part of the much broader march on Washington.
And so, of course, the activists are now trying to channel this march into a lasting political movement. So Mike Flannery has perspective from Washington.
I don't like his language. I think that he's disrespectful not just to women, but to really most people, immigrants especially.
Coming here and seeing all of these women and men, it gives me a lot of hope.
It's amazing to see all of the people together fighting for the same thing. It's like hope.
The big crowd on the National Mall included performers delivering anti-Trump messages about everything from foreign policy to abortion rights.
Women in particular are not going back, that we are part of the resistance to Donald Trump, and he may have his plans, he may take our message off of his website, but our message is going to be clear.
Clarice Banks, who brought her 11-year-old daughter Nia, said she hopes President Trump will be a president for all Americans, but his tone and some of the things he has said have her worried.
I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 2 daughters, so certainly his comments about women are concerning.
A big crowd and a demonstration like this do make a political statement and have some influence, but what really counts here in Washington are the votes cast back home for the men and women who make the final decisions. And for now, Republicans are firmly in control.
Coming up, we'll show you how President Trump is responding to the Women's March and how his supporters started a movement that caught both parties by surprise.
Okay, well, first Trump chided the Women's March. Why didn't they vote, he's asked. And then later was far more conciliatory on Sunday, recognizing this could be the start of a movement. He knows something about starting movements and how loyal his supporters can be, which brings us to this fella right from Texas. Take a look. A lot of people have shown their support for Trump in different ways. He wears it
on his neck.
Not just on his chest, on his neck.
Permanently.
That's right, permanently. Well, let's take a look at, his name is Goober Williamson, and that's his real name. We're not making an editorial judgment here. That's his name. And it shows, among other things, how loyal and strong Trump's support continues to be. Very briefly, here's what he had to say.
You know, it's hard to look in my eyes without seeing it. Like at church, little old ladies are, I love that hoodie. Can wear my hoodie faithfully. I said, well, if you like that, you love this. Oh, my Lord.
And with that, what do you have to say?
A permanent mark of the quote movement.
Well, let's hope he doesn't change his mind about Trump in the coming years. And Trump certainly has a lot to prove, but he also has a lot of very loyal supporters. That's just one case in point. Folks, that's our show tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Take care.